everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Unfiltered Perspectives. I'm Tara.
I'm Kimberly.
And I'm Leslie.
And we are excited about today's discussion. Last week, we touched on the topic of reframing our definitions of failure and success, and it sparked some intriguing conversations. Today, we're picking up where we left off and also getting into a related question, which is, can you effectively offer advice or support to someone dealing with a challenge if you're still navigating similar struggles yourself? It's a question that I think strikes at the heart of empathy and also personal growth, because we sometimes find ourselves in situations where we want to help others, but we're still facing our own battles, and we question whether or not it's possible for us to offer meaningful support when we're still in the midst of our own journey. Welcome to Unfiltered Perspectives, where real talk leads to real growth and every perspective is valued.
Thank you, Tara, for that introduction. This is Leslie again. And like Tara mentioned, we talked a little bit about how we measure success last week. And again, for myself, my success, and it hasn't always been this way, is measured now about how I can give back to others, especially in areas where I may have struggled with and have overcome, or areas that I still may have challenges in. And so again, we're talking about, can you effectively offer support to someone who is struggling in the same areas that you are still being challenged with? There was a time where I didn't think, for me personally, that I could be of support or that I could be helpful. And that's only because of, as I've mentioned in the previous discussion, I am very hard on myself and I am my own worst critic or my own worst enemy. But with understanding, one, that it's okay to not be okay, and two, learning to love myself, and three, not beat myself up over past decisions, mistakes, because we all make them. And I'm learning from that and I'm growing from that and I'm learning to love myself for where I am now. I am confident enough to say that I can certainly be of help to someone who is struggling with things that I've gone through and overcome, or even help them with things that I'm still going through, because we're actually supporting each other. You put yourself in a vulnerable situation with which, I'm absolutely okay with doing if it means it's going to help someone else. I can be transparent, I can be open, I can be vulnerable, because I want to get you through whatever it is you're struggling with at that moment. And actually, by helping you, it actually helps me. So I can certainly be of support. And I think anyone can be of support to someone in areas that they're still trying to find their way out of.
Yeah, I mean, I think, of course, yes, definitely, we can still be of support to someone in areas where we're still struggling. I think there are lots of ways to be of support, first of all. I mean, sometimes support is offering advice or guidance or insight, and sometimes support can just be offering presence. I also think there's something about, right, the way that this question is that suggests that maybe we're only able to offer support when we have our acts completely together or when we're perfect in an area, which I think sets up this myth that we are ever perfect or completely together in an area.
I agree. I wonder how that question came about. Does anyone want to share?
Oh, let me. I was having a conversation with a young lady, and I'm sure that she meant well. And I'm not sure how we got into the topic of insecurities and things of that nature. And she went on to tell me that I didn't love myself and that I was very insecure. And there was a time where that was true. And in some areas I may still be insecure. And I'm a work in progress. We are all a work in progress. We're all a work in progress. But I thought that was a bit, I don't know the word. That was a bit much. Yeah, that part. It was a bit much
Definitely.
because for me, dealing with insecurities, I had, I was taken aback for a moment because I didn't want to be too sensitive. I wanted to hear her out, and I had to process it for a minute. And then I just, I let it go after a while because I have some insecurities, but overall, I think that I'm pretty secure in a lot of areas. And I do love myself much more than I have in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And I talk about mental health a lot because it's an area that I struggled in. And her question was, how are you going to help anybody when you struggle with this yourself? Well, ma'am, that's how. That's how. Because I've gone through so much, because I've seen so much, because I've heard so much, because I recognize it in myself,
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to recognize it in other people. And I can be of help in some way, whether it's talking to someone. Sometimes they just need you to listen. Sometimes they just need you to be present, whatever it is. So, no, don't ever tell someone that they're not capable of helping someone else through something that they're going through. Because for one, you don't know that.
Exactly.
You don't know that, and that's just it. There was a time where that would have sat with me and I would have just been a complete mess
Mm-hmm.
and took what that person said and just, went into my depression. Let me just be honest. Let me
Mm-hmm.
what it is, because that has happened to me where as soon as someone says something to me, I start to feel useless.
Oh.
And if you start to feel useless, you become useless because you won't reach out to the person that you may have been able to say something to that
Mm-hmm.
helped, even just for that moment, for that day, for that week. You can absolutely help someone. And I will go so far as to say this: God can use anybody and everybody,
Thank you.
even
Absolutely.
even a Leslie, even a Leslie.
Why'd you say even a Leslie? Come on now.
Yeah. Yeah. Even me with all of my past messiness and, insecurities and doubts and all of that. But guess what? Like I said, I'm a work in progress. I'm God's work.
Yes. And having gone through the things that you go through, that's how you experience, that's how you learn, and that's how you know what you can and cannot share. That's how you know that you can make the connection with somebody to be able to offer them just the word they need to bring them through or to help them
Mhm.
see a situation in a different, from a different perspective.
Mhm.
So,
A different perspective, an unfiltered perspective.
yeah. So I definitely believe that we can offer understanding, we can offer solidarity, we can offer comfort based on shared experiences. I think that it is important when we are doing this, though, that we recognize and the person understands that, yeah, we may not be experts in a particular thing. We don't may not have like these special trainings. We may not even, like the question suggests, be on the other side of an issue, but there's no reason why we still can't be there for each other. And you can learn from my mistakes. I
Yeah.
can learn from yours. We can get through this together. One of the analogies that I'm sitting here thinking of is that I'm not in heaven right now, right? But my Bible, it provides a roadmap for me to follow in order to get there. So even though I'm not there right now, I know a source that I can turn to that tells me how to get where I want to be. I think that qualifies me to share that knowledge, that information with others so that we can travel that road together.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to be fully outside of that analogy. I don't have to have my mess together. I don't have to be perfect in order to help somebody else through something.
Right. Right. And the key thing you said there was get through it together.
Mm-hmm.
Get through it together. Yeah. And I find that, let me see how I want to explain this. I find that a lot of times I've gone through something that people didn't quite understand, either because they were judgmental. they, cho- they chose not to. I mean, let's just be real. They chose
Yeah.
not to, and they labeled it the way they wanted to label it, or, they lacked understanding. They, whatever the reason was. And I find that because I've gone through some things, it makes me super sensitive to other people's journey, I guess you want to,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
because I want to allow them the same grace that I looked for, the same level of empathy, the same level of understanding. It has changed how I look at people and what they go through. And I have to look at, okay, you went through the same thing. What did you need in that moment? And I try very hard to be that for that person.
I
I
love
try
that.
very hard to be that for that person. Yeah.
There is a school of thought or a quote that says in preaching, it says, you preach from your scars, not your wounds, right?
Ooh.
That when you're in the middle of it, right? When you're still wounded, when you're still bleeding, maybe you don't have the perspective to be preaching or teaching or leading. And it's when you have made it, like when it's a scar, when it's starting to heal, then you have the perspective. So I think
Mm,
it does matter. It matters that we are honest with ourselves and other people about where we are as we're entering into this like mode of help, right? I think it makes a difference if we're clear that this is something I have gone through versus this is something I am going through. Which is
mm,
not to say that you don't have anything to offer, even as it's something you are still in the midst of. I just think it matters for us to be clear with ourselves and other people about where we are in it.
Absolutely. I think it is important that we are aware of and acknowledge our limitations. But the fact that you have limitations is not a barrier, I
mhm,
don't think.
Yeah, totally.
I think what does matter is that we are willing to listen. We're willing to be a supportive presence, that we are sure to, like you said, Kimberly, be true to where you are yourself in the process. I don't think there are very many people out there who want to be a help, who want to offer advice when they are still so far buried in the darkness that they're not at that point where they're willing even, I think, to offer light.
I'm not sure about the lightness or darkness imagery of it, but I do think there are people who do lack perspective, right? And maybe I think there are plenty of people who lack perspective and who are willing to
Spout.
yeah,
what'd you
say
say?
it, right, to spout, right? Who are willing to spout and advise and run off at the mouth when they actually don't have the perspective that would make their advice helpful. So I wouldn't underestimate that is a thing that happens.
I hear
But I
you.
also think, so like you said, you think about what it is that you need or needed, which I think is an important question. And also, somebody told me I always like pause and say, and I have been playing around with and talking about the platinum rule as one that replaces the golden rule, right? So if the golden rule is do unto others as I would have them do unto me, the platinum rule is do unto others as they would have done unto them, right? And so maybe what it is that I need in this moment, what it is that I needed when I was going through it, isn't what this person needs. And so I ask this person, what is it that you need right now? And maybe they don't know, but maybe asking the question opens up the space for them to start to figure it out.
Can you repeat that, what that platinum rule is again?
Yeah, ask if you can tell us again what that platinum rule is.
Do unto others as they would have done unto them. Right. So we don't all need the same thing. We don't all respond in the same way to things. And so what's helpful for me may not actually be helpful for you in this situation. And so rather than assume based on my own needs, I can just ask you what you need. And a lot of times I don't know what I need, right? But sometimes being asked the question makes the space for me to actually think about what is it that I might need.
I have a question
Yes.
to you. Why do you think when we're going through something, we have pretty good advice for the other person, but we have a hard time implementing those same, that same advice, those same things when it comes to our own situations? Why do you think that is?
Ooh, I'm
If
sitting
you
here
have an, if
waving,
you have,
waving, waving.
and if you have an example, please share.
Well, child, because I am the queen of do as I say, not as I do.
And that's
Not exactly the queen of do as I say, not as I do, but more like if I am preaching a sermon 9 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10, I need to hear the sermon. It is as much for me as for you.
Oh my word. Yeah. And when I say why do people, by people I mean me. Let's just be honest. By people I mean me. So before I, expound on that, Tara, what do you have to say?
I think that, there just are lots of situations where people have theoretical knowledge and experience, but being human, we're not perfect and we don't always do what we know we should do. There are a lot of cases where we know how to do something, but we still struggle with that implementation because, how does it go? The spirit may be willing, but the flesh is weak.
Oh, babe. So I ask you both, does that make you a hypocrite? And if not, how does that label you as what? Is
I
it
don't I don't think it makes you a hypocrite. I don't think it makes me a hypocrite. What I think, like I said, is it makes me human. I may
okay?
want to, but it's not easy. It's not always easy to do. And as we've been saying, like for weeks now, we are all works in progress. So, and maybe I haven't been able to do it time 1, 2, 3, and 4 that I try, but maybe this time it's going to happen for me because maybe each time I get a step closer to, that ideal, that goal. So I definitely don't think it makes me a hypocrite unless I know how to do it. I know what to do, but I have no intention of ever applying that to my life because I don't truly think it works. In that case, yeah, that would make me a hypocrite. But
Yeah.
but if it's something that I truly believe in, and even though I may not be successful in the past at having implemented it or trying to put it into effect in my life, it doesn't mean that I can't keep trying, that I
Mhm.
can't try again and again and again until I get it right. Because honestly, I
Well,
think that's
I
part of a life journey, you know?
yeah, I feel better. Thank you for helping me. Because I find that certain people that I'm close to will ask my advice, opinion, or, my thoughts on a particular thing. And I can have a conversation with them. And in a couple of days or so, I'm faced with the same thing. And I'm like, dang, nabbit. I know the answer to this. But I find myself, like you said, being human, and it's easier said than done.
Absolutely. A lot of cases. Yeah.
Done. And I do oftentimes, when that happens, feel like a hypocrite. I do feel like a hypocrite. And when I share what I share with certain people, I do it out of love. I do it out of concern for them. I do it because I want the best for them, all of those things. And then when I'm faced with it, it's crushing sometimes. And it's like,
Wow.
how am I going to get through this?
Mhm.
How am I through this? So yeah, I oftentimes feel like, a hypocrite.
I think it really is that perspective question again. I think it is often easier to recognize something outside of ourselves than to recognize it in ourselves, which is why I think it's really, really, really important that we be in accountable relationships with people who will reflect themselves back to us, who will hold up that mirror and be like, "Hey, sis, do you see this?" Because when we're too close, we don't see it, and we just like you are holding up the mirror for somebody else, and we need somebody to hold up the mirror for us.
Yeah, I think you're right.
You know what? It's funny because oftentimes, Kimberly, I will call Tara.
Here's your
And
mirror,
Tara,
sis.
baby, let me tell you, I'm like, okay, let me prepare myself, because the one thing I'm gonna get from Tara, whether I like it or not, is the truth. So I guess I can appreciate that.
You
I don't know what
guess.
you no, I do. I really appreciate it. And she's so sweet. She's so sweet because I can tell when she's struggling with whatever that truth with whatever with whatever that truth is. I'm like, just breathe, give it to me, But she will give me the truth. And the thing about it is I want it. So I know I can call her for that. And I hang up and I'm like, yeah, well, whatever. I know.
Mm.
She's gonna give me the truth. And I have a handful of people that, they're gonna give me the truth whether I like it or not.
Yeah.
They're gonna show me.
Right.
Saying,
Let me tell you about yourself.
well, no, that's not what I don't know. I was gonna say I don't think that's what I do. Let me
I
tell
should
you.
talk so in a way that's kind. I want somebody to tell me about myself in a way that's kind. But yes, please tell me about myself.
Tara, when you say you don't think that's what you do, what do you mean? You don't think that you tell me about myself?
No, I think it was more the tone that she said it.
Oh. No, I can always count on Tara for truth and support, because you have to have both. You can't just come at me reckless, any kind of, and then not support me.
Yeah.
Whether she likes it or not.
Yeah, that part. Yeah, So I get both. And it's very important to have both. Don't just come at me and just leave me with my feelings all hurt.
Wow, this is like a couple different conversations that I'm having this week.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Absolutely. I think I may be in one space giving myself the reputation of somebody who's not necessarily combative, but like a challenger. We were having a conversation about like challenge versus support. And so many people were saying, "Oh, I don't know if I don't really like the challenge." And I was like, "I don't care."
Wow.
I didn't say I don't care, but I certainly did say I feel absolutely comfortable challenging because I want people to be their best. I want us to do our best. I believe we always have room to grow. And one of the ways that we can do that is to be challenged and held accountable. I listen.
But what if that's not what they need? That's what you need or want.
To be held accountable. I think that we all need to be held accountable. I think that different things help us to do that. Right. But if what you're telling me that what you need is for me to lie to you, that's not an agreement that I'm willing to enter into. You might need me to tell you might need me to okay, so here's the difference. If our goal is to be accountable, I can ask you, what do you need right now? Do you need me to reflect back what I'm seeing? Do you need me to ask you curious questions? Do you need me to give advice? Right? But if what you need is to not actually be accountable, I'm not here for that.
Yeah, but I think maybe my question tends more to the approach.
Yeah. Right.
Accountability, great. But confrontational forcing of accountability, maybe not so much. Because different people respond to different stimuli. Yeah.
Well, I don't think the only way to be accountable or to be an accountable relationship is to be confrontational. But I do think that it requires honesty. There are lots of different ways. I mean, so the approach is the approach. There are different approaches. But I think the goal is honesty and accountability.
Yes, I agree with you.
As do I.
So back to our topic.
Did we get off topic?
We got a little bit off topic, but it was fun.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
I think it's the same topic. I think it's the topic of how do we help people, or how do we offer support or advice or guidance or whatever,
When
even
we're
if
still
we're in the midst of something.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But the bottom line is, I don't want anyone, this is for me, this is me talking. I don't want anyone who is listening to feel like I have felt in the past, where whatever it is you're going through, whatever it is you're going through, or wherever you are in your life, if you have an opportunity to help someone else, that you can't. You always can. It could mean telling your story. It could mean just listening to theirs. It could mean a hug. It could mean a smile. It could mean spending time.
Mm-hmm.
You can absolutely help and support in some capacity. In some capacity. And I will go so far as to even say, for me, I've run across people that were struggling with some things that I was going through as well. And they've helped me and don't even know it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't pass up an opportunity to minister to someone, to help someone, to talk someone, to smile at someone, to hug someone. Whatever you're capable of doing in that moment, don't be afraid to do it. You can absolutely be of help to someone.
Yeah.
Perfection is not required. We are
Absolutely
perfectly
not.
imperfect.
When you, Leslie, mentioned our phone calls where my honesty is my honesty. Um, yeah, there have been times when the thing that you were struggling with, I have in the past, such as like self-confidence or self-esteem or things like that, where I was in a situation or a feeling that like, let me wipe these tears away and help her. And I can do that because I know where she's coming from, because I feel this too. But knowing that I'm not in this by myself, and also having a pretty good idea of where to turn to, what resources to turn to, where to turn to within myself, or just knowing what it would take to make me feel better. I think I was better able to offer advice or be a listening ear or what have you. And in doing so, I was able to reflect, like you said, well, I'm telling her this, but suck it up, girl. Do this yourself.
Wow. See, I didn't
Apply this to yourself. And it helps. It definitely helps.
see, I didn't know. I
You
didn't.
didn't hear me?
I didn't. Listen, y'all, she about to make me cry. You almost made me cry last week. I'm gonna need you to stop. I'm gonna need you to stop. But yeah, we don't ever think. I'm gonna keep saying it. Whoever's listening, don't ever think that you can't help. Don't ever think that you can't help.
Mm-hmm.
You can help somebody.
I know that I actually have 2 scriptural references for you guys today.
Yay! Love her.
The first one is Romans 12:15, which says, "Rejoice with those who rejoice, weep with those who weep." And for me, this highlights how important it is to just, I mentioned empathy at the beginning, to have that for others. And so that when they are going through something, whether it's happy or sad, regardless of circumstances, it's important for us to be able to encourage other people, to offer support and understanding, even when we're facing similar challenges ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one I wanted to mention was Philippians chapter 2, verses 3 and 4, which says, "Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves." And the reason that was striking to me is because there are times when we feel that because we are not where we think we should be, that we cannot be a source of support, or we have nothing to offer someone else. this reminds me to don't be so wrapped up in my own struggles or my own sense of defeat. It's okay to just be there for other people. Prioritize what someone else may need ahead of what it is you think they need or what it is you think is holding you back. Your lack of whatever holding you back from being able to be there, be a source of support, be a resource for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Because you may not see yourself or know what it is that just a kind word or just your presence can offer somebody else and bring them out of whatever it is that they're going through.
And like you said, Leslie, you have no idea the ripples of our actions in the world.
I've said so many times, and you will probably hear me say it time and time again, that I am a work in progress. We all are. I read something earlier. It said, you don't need to be perfect to inspire others. Let people get inspired by how you deal with your imperfection.
Wow.
We are all a work in progress. I don't care what any of you think. None of us have arrived.
Hey now.
We are a work in progress. It is a never-ending journey. Leave you with that again. You don't need to be perfect to inspire others. Let people get inspired by how you deal with your imperfection.
I love that. And you said we are on a journey, and I am so glad to be on this journey with you guys.
Aww. I'm going to let the world know I love these ladies.
Me too.
I love y'all too.
These ladies. This was good stuff.
So, as we wrap up this discussion, we want to thank you for joining us. Remember, offering support to others does not require us to have all the answers or to be free from our own challenges and struggles. What really matters is our willingness to listen, to empathize, and to offer a supportive presence. If you found today's discussion valuable, look for new episodes every Thursday morning, and don't forget to subscribe to Unfiltered Perspectives on your favorite podcast platform and share it with your friends.
Share it with your friends.
Yes. We love to hear your thoughts and experiences, so please feel free to reach us by email at unfilteredperspectives@outlook.com.
And we'd love to take listener questions. If you have a question that you would like us to address in the podcast, send your questions to unfilteredperspectives@outlook.com and let us know if you would like us to use your name.
That's going to be fun. I'm Tara.
I'm Kimberly.
And I'm Leslie. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you back here next time.